Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm working on another art journal spread. Firstly, I'll prep my pages with gesso since I plan to do a lot of texturing on it. And since today is an experiment session for me, I have no idea what will happen, so better prepare my pages for whatever that is to come. As you have seen from my video's thumbnail, I will be doing a wall spread. So to get that cement texture, I used the hard green backing of this sponge on my acrylic gesso. It will give that bit of sandy cement texture. So here I'm trying to apply a bit of my crackle paste to give my wall almost that peeling, cracking paint texture. Crackling mediums are best air dried, but I'm an impatient brute, so I'll just use my heat gun. So next I'm using my brick wall stencil that I cut using my Cricut machine. Here I'm using my modeling paste by Winsor & Newton. It's a very thin mylar sheet, making the stencil almost unsuitable for mixed media art, but I'll try to make it work. I try to avoid putting the modeling paste near the spine. Yes, always clean your stencils, people. At the moment, everything is white, so I know it's difficult for you guys to see the textures. So here I'm coloring the brick walls with my watercolor, a mix of browns and black. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware I was out of frame whilst concentrating on the bottom part of the page. There's really no technique to this. I'm just randomly giving parts of the wall some depths of color, then spraying it with water for it to spread by itself. It will end up looking like some dirty aged wall. So here I'm preparing to make my DIY texture paste. I sometimes keep these small containers like this. Today I'm using the KFC one to do my mixture. I'll be using my baking soda, which expired back in 2014. Here I'm using a plastic measuring tablespoon that I got for free in a cereal box. I don't know about you, but here in this house we never finish up baking soda bottles for baking whilst it's still usable. There's never really a measured ingredient for any DIY art supplies, if you ask me. Usually I'll just eyeball everything, but basically for baking soda texture paste recipe, it's just baking soda, glue, and acrylic paint. You should be able to use any glue, your basic white glue or even Mod Podge if you have that. Here I'm using my ice cream stick as my stirrer. Most basic texture paste recipes call for white acrylic paint, but since I want green paste, I'm using that with some yellow. Just the same amount as your glue that you put earlier. So all you have to do is mix until you get the desired thickness. I added some water and more baking soda as and when till I get the exact consistency I want for my spread. As you would have known, there are many types of DIY texture paste recipes out there. Baby powder, chalk powder, plaster of Paris. But I chose baking soda because its chemical reaction will result with gritty, porous texture as it dries. Besides, I want to finish that old bottle. So I intend to mix some sand into my texture to give it more tooth. Here's a bottle of sand I found at Daiso. I got the white colored one. Just add bit by bit until you get the desired texture. I stopped adding once my paste is not too gloopy and stays on my stick once I lift it up. The bottom left and right corners were the sections that I intend to apply this paste on. So let's see. I really didn't know how it'll turn out. Eek! We'll have to cover that up later. I tried to spread the paste thinly, not too thick for my book because I hate not being able to properly close my book. So that's a thick gesso applied to correct that green mistake there. So here I'm trying to give that H some shades of green. I'm using a small bunch of Q-tips, or cotton buds as we call them here in Singapore. Just adding different shades to give the leaves some depth. So here comes the red for the flowers. Using the same used Q-tips, I did the first layer of flowers. Then a fresh glob of paints for the external ones, which should look much brighter. Whenever I paint flowers, I always like to give them some dots and splatters. It'll give that magical polleny effect on them, I think. Then I felt the spread needed more bricks, so I took up my stencil again to complete the spread with my brick border. Here I realized I should have traced the earlier bricks to get that equal look, but oh well. Here's giving the same watercolor wash to give it that aged look. Here's my bunch of sticker quotes that I printed myself using inkjet printer. I chose this quote, "Nothing lasts forever, but at least we got these memories." As usual, I'll secure them with my matte medium. Then using my charcoal pencil, I give it some shadowy outline. Here I have a cheap butterfly sticker. Unfortunately, it's made of glossy plastic, so I'm using my matte medium to paste it down. Then giving it the same charcoal shadowy effect. Using my acrylic black ink, I used my paintbrush to give the insect its antenna. So that's it. If there's anything I learned doing this prep, definitely do not use too much sand, and perhaps a bit more glue into the mixture could have helped. Well, thank you for watching guys. Happy journaling. Bye.